I would like to thank you all the 4 NCPs for organizing today this event. It's a pleasure for me to be here together with my colleague Aziz Mustafa, that we are going to be here to present you the Staff Exchange action, and as well we'll make an introduction of the of the call that is about, well, it's already open, 2020-2024. And as announced as well by Alexandra, we'll be pleased as well to take with us all the questions that you may consider for the event. Say this, I'm going to share my presentation. A second. I will launch it here. And then yes. I hope that is visible for everybody. Okay.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, because as we will go in more detail after, we have just opened our call on 19th of September, and we are very pleased that you invited us, because well, I don't want to anticipate much more, but we have seen an increase of the participation of the 4 countries in the action, and we are very excited that this trend will continue. Therefore, it's a pleasure for us to have this opportunity and to explain in more detail staff exchanges and the different features of the call 2024. I will focus very briefly my presentation first on the policy background. My colleague Aziz will be as well with me to take some questions. We'll try to reply both to the questions to make it more dynamic, and not only me all the time speaking. And the overview of the presentation will be first focus on the policy background. This will be very short. Then we'll go to the staff exchange action, the details of the actions and the features. Then we'll spend as well some time with the application process that we believe will be very useful for all of you, due to the fact that we have already more than 1 month since the opening of the call. And finally, we'd like to bring you as well more information about the possibility of combining staff exchange funding with another funding, and which are the benefits that you can expect because of this combination, how this can be done and how it is possible. Starting with the policy background, here, well, staff exchange MSCA program is one of the actions of the Marijas Sklodovskas-Kirī actions, and we belong to the excellent science, that is the pillar 1 of the Horizon Europe framework program. That is the biggest ever framework program for research and innovation in Europe, with a total of more than 95.5 billion euros allotted for this framework program since 2021 until 2027. And as you can see on the screen, MSCA is part of the excellent science. When we go into details about the Marijas Sklodovskas-Kirī actions, you can see that there are 5 different programs. The flagship of the program is Doctoral Networks. Here we are funding the creation and setup of networks that include doctoral programs, and this is well a component of collaboration with the industry. I will not spend much time on the different actions, because I want really to focus on hours of staff exchange. We have as well postdoctoral fellowships that is as well very well known, that try to boost the careers of the researchers, and is providing individual grants to the fellows to further develop once they have a PhD. Then we have the co-fund, that is a program that is co-funding already existing national or regional doctorate programs, and with this additional EU funding, we are contributing to the development of that programs. MSCA and Citizens maybe is the most known program because of the impact that has in terms of communication towards the citizens about the EU research and innovation. And in this context, we are, for instance, financing the events that they are happening every year by end of September, that is called the Researchers' Night, that we are bringing closer to the citizens the outcomes of the research and innovation EU-funded projects. And then finally, we have a staff exchange that is about collaborative research and innovation projects that they are implemented through mobility, and is the purpose of this presentation, and I will focus on that the rest of the time for my presentation today. Then for what is a staff exchange? A staff exchange is a research and innovation project that is implemented through mobility. This is very important. We have really a research and innovation project, but in comparison with other schemes, this research and innovation project is implemented through the exchange of people from different institutions participating in one project. It's a multi-beneficiary action. That means that every project is composed of a consortium with different partners, and it tries to equip researchers and innovation and organizations with skills and cutting knowledge, because thanks to this mobility that is not only happening at EU level, at the European level, but is as well happening worldwide. We have exchanges with all the countries. We have projects with the involvement of entities from around the world, and this is a particularity of a staff exchange. We used to say as well that staff exchange is maybe the most international action in the frame of Marie Curie actions. It fosters as well, and it's a strong particularity of this action, the mobility between academic and private sector. That means that it is an important component of the participation of the companies, industry in our projects, and can be combined with other programs in such a way that if other programs they have more funding for research and innovation activities, for instance, they are providing you with the salaries of the researchers, they are providing you as well with the funding for buying equipment for the laboratories, then this other funding can be combined with the staff exchange, action project, because we are mostly financing the mobility of the staff that is participating in the research and innovation activities. And the budget that is allotted for the call 2024 is almost 100 million euros. It's the biggest ever budget since the staff exchange is in place. And if we compare as well with the previous action RISE, is as well the biggest between RISE and staff exchange. Then it's a great opportunity. The objectives, the policy objectives of this action is to boost the international, intersectorial, and interdisciplinary mobility of research and innovation staff through secondments, and as well facilitate the knowledge transfer between all the entities participating in the project, that they collaborate together in order to deliver research and innovation outputs, because the project is a research and innovation project. We are trying to foster the collaboration between academic and non-academic, and we have a strong focus on the participation of SMEs. And as we already mentioned before, we are really worldwide. They have entities participating in our projects from around the world. We have entities from South America, Africa, Asia, North America, that they participate with different roles, of course, in the frame of the project, because as you may imagine, we are not funding entities from, for instance, Japan or United States, but we are funding the mobility towards these countries, and they as well participate in our projects with mobility from these entities located in these countries towards Europe. Another key features of the action is that bottom-up. That means that there is not a predefined, predefined research innovation topic. You can suggest the topic you may consider more relevant for your research activities, and then therefore all scientific panels are possible. We have projects dealing with 5G, 6G in terms of telecommunications, but we have as well a project dealing with neuroscience or social science. Therefore, the scope of the variety of the research and innovation project that we are managing is really wide. Any research and innovation topic is possible in the frame of a staff exchange. We have it's a top-up allowance. That means that on top of the salaries of the fellows that they participate in the project, we are funding 5,010 euros per secondment, per month of secondment.
And this is split into different categories that I will explain later in more detail. But just in two sentences, 2,710 euros is for the mobility of the staff, and 2,300 euros out of the 5,010 is for the organization in terms of covering the head over cost of the organization participating in the project, and as well the research and innovation activities, including as well for instance, the purchase of consumables for the research, or even networking or different activities involved in the project. The secondments, they have to be interdisciplinary, intersectoral, international, with a set of rules that I will explain later. And there's a minimum of 1 month per fellow and a maximum of 12 months. Here, I will as well to explain that it's a novelty for those that you have experience with us in the frame of Horizon 2020 in comparison with Horizon Europe, is that in the past, with RISE, with the former RISE, it was mandatory to have at least this mobility always with the same sending and hosting institution. Now this is not anymore the case. There is a very it was agreed to have much more flexibility for the definition of a secondment, and now every the time spent in different institutions, the addition of this total spent can be counted in order to reach the maximum of the 12 months. But you can go to different institutions during the secondments. Therefore, it's not mandatory to have always the same destination for your secondment. And then there's a maximum duration of the projects of 4 years, and the budget, if we count the budget as the number of person months that can be implemented for mobility during the duration of the project, the maximum is 360. That you make the multiplication by the 5,010 euros, you reach almost 1.8 million euros maximum budget for a staff exchange project. But staff exchange project, based on our experience, is making a difference for those that they had the opportunity to participate in their project, because they were able to set up worldwide networks. They have had the opportunity to collaborate with very high advanced and top institutions around the world, as I mentioned before, in different continents. Therefore, it's really bringing you the opportunity to go beyond the EU borders. No, we have seen as well that it's very attractive for the companies. This information is based on the assessment we did of the previous. Someone else is now. I will share it again. No problem. Can you see?
Yes. Now it's
okay. Fine. I hope that nobody really missed something. Okay, I will continue. But if you miss something, please let me know. For the business participation, as you can see, well, it's quite attractive for the companies. Based on our experience with the former predecessor of a staff exchange, that it was RISE, the participation of the companies is up to 30% in this program. That means that it's quite attractive in comparison to the rest of the MSCA, and is even and as well in comparison to the rest of the funding actions and programs within the excellent pillar of the Horizon Europe. This is well another proof that is quite attractive for companies. Is as well the TRL of the projects in staff exchange is very high. We have projects that they have a TRL, technology readiness level. This is the abbreviation TRL, that is close to 5 or 6. That means they are close to being delivered into the market, some outcomes of these projects, and that's why this is well materialized in the high level or the high number of patents that they are issued after the participation in a staff exchange project. And the success rate, and this is well something that makes attractive at this stage, the action is between 20 and 40%. The last year, there is the 2023 and 2022 call, we were around 30%. Therefore, it's a high success rate, and it's a good opportunity for the companies, for the universities, for the research centers to step into the Horizon Europe and the EU funding for research and innovation. It's really, we say that it's maybe one of the entry gates into the program. Is maybe the first step that you can have, the first opportunity you can have to participate in an EU research and innovation project, and then based on the network that you can build thanks to staff exchange, you can continue with other actions and further funding in Horizon Europe.
What about the eligible staff exchange research and innovation? When we are talking about the consortia, yes, the minimum is to have 3 entities. And then here we have some particular roles, because as we want to boost and to facilitate the exchange between different sectors, academic and non-academic, that's why if we have just only 3 entities based in Europe, one of them should be from another sector. And we are talking about another sector as we call it non-academic. Non-academic sector is not only companies, includes as well NGOs and public bodies that they are not dedicated for research. But this is the clarification I would like to know. And because not always non-academic is just a straightforward industry. It's mostly industry, but you can have as well NGOs and public bodies like a regional government or the city town hall that they want to participate in the project. And then academic, this includes universities, higher education establishments, together, that it doesn't matter whether they are public or private, but it includes as well research centers within the same frame of academic institutions, and not only the public ones, as well include those that they can have only private funding. Just to make this clarification. When we are talking about that all the entities, they are in the same sector. For instance, all the entities participating in the project are from universities. Another possibility as well is to have another entity participating in the project from the same sector. Imagine that is as well a university, but in this case, the third institution has to be located outside Europe to be eligible, to meet the eligibility criteria of having this mobility. Well, in a nutshell, it's clear that either we go for intersectoral mobility when the minimum is fulfilled of having 3 entities in the project. That is the first business case. Or we go, as you can see on the second business case, for international mobility. What is not possible is to have just 3 entities that they are all, for instance, universities located in Europe. This is not possible. In that scenario, will not be a consortium eligible for funding. About the staff who is eligible for funding and those that they perform the secondments, we want to say that staff exchange is quite flexible. Any type of staff that is participating in research and innovation activities can participate in a secondment. Here it's important to mention that we are not just only limited to any stage of the researcher's career, PhD candidates, postdoctoral PhD or senior researchers, but we are as well open to administrative staff, managerial staff, and technical staff that they could participate in research and innovation activities. This is very relevant, for instance, if you consider at the time of thinking on a staff exchange project to involve as well companies or NGOs, no? That they may have a different, let me say, categories of staff compared to an university or research center. Here it's important to insist and emphasize the fact that this staff has to be dedicated and participating in research and innovation activities, and has to be in research and innovation activities linked to the activities of the project. Cannot be whatever. Just to give you an example, the accountant in the company is not eligible in principle to participate in secondments, because they are dealing with the accounting of the system, the accounting system of the company in general. They are not just focused on the accounting of this particular project. But for instance, the person that is maybe working in filing the patents and is as well has a role in the research and innovation project funded by a staff exchange can participate maybe in secondments, because this person is dealing with the patents as an output of the staff exchange project. I hope that this was clear from my side. And then the secondees, they can participate in secondments that they may have, as I already mentioned, a minimum of 1 month and a maximum of 12 months. And then you can have splits. You don't have to do the 12 months in a row. You can make different splits, and you can participate in the secondments for different periods along the maximum duration of the project. For instance, a particular researcher can make that is going to perform 12 months, the maximum, can have, for instance, 3 months the first year, 3 months the second year, 3 months again the third year, and 3 months the fourth year,
that computes in total the maximum of 12 months. This is as well possible and will depend mostly on the research and innovation activities that the project is going to implement. I will not, then there is another requirement that is very important. During the secondment, during the period of the secondment, the secondee, the fellow has to be fully devoted in full time to the project that is funded by Staff Exchange. This might be as well a matter of discussion. We know that in different countries, for instance, Czech Republic, there are different particularities, but we are checking case by case how this can be accommodated to the different particularities of the different countries. The general rule is that there is a need for full-time dedication. And then prior to the secondment, this is well a requirement that ensures that the person that is participating in the exchange is going to be back in the same institution. There is a need to be engaged 1 month prior to the secondment in the same institution. This is as well a requirement that is there in order to ensure that it's a return to the same institution, and the skills and knowledge that the fellow has acquired in the host institution are being returned and as an investment for the same institution, because these skills will be further developed in the same institution. About the mechanism for the implementation of the delivery of secondments, as you can see here, and based on the rule of the minimum participation number of 3, the delivery of secondments within Europe is possible, but there is here the precondition that the mobility has to be intersectorial. That means the mobility for participating entities that they are located in the EU member states and associated countries to the program has to happen between different institutions that they belong to different sectors, academic and non-academic. Here, there was a novelty in the framework of Horizon Europe, that there is as well a possibility to have mobility within the same sector. That's why you have this 1/3 rule on the screen. That means that as well is possible to have mobility between entities that they belong to the same sector. In the sample that you have on the screen is between 2 universities, up to 1/3 of the total budget, or the equivalent 1/3 of the total person months that we are funding for staff exchanges. It's very important to observe this rule, and it's very important as well to justify that this exchange within the same sector is happening between institutions that they are from different disciplines, that they prove that these secondments are interdisciplinarity. While we have talked about the mobility in the European context, and now we are going to talk about the mobility at international level. That means Staff Exchange has one of the goals is to boost and to promote the mobility beyond the EU borders, and that's why we are funding as well the mobility toward the third countries. But here we have 2 different business scenarios. We can have mobility toward low and medium income third countries, and in this case we fund the mobility towards these countries, but we fund as well the mobility from these countries towards Europe. How we do this funding back to Europe? We do it indirectly. The entities in Europe that they are going to host the secondaries coming from the low and middle income third countries, they will get as well the funding corresponding to these fellows, and then it's up to these entities that they are our beneficiaries to decide how they will manage these funds. If they will give the funds directly to the sending institutions, or they will pay directly to the fellows that they are coming into Europe. This is possible. While in the second business scenario, that is considering the high-income countries. High-income countries, I can list, for instance, some of them, like Japan, like Mexico as well, Panama, United States, Chile. In this case, we are funding the mobility from European entities towards these countries, but we don't fund the mobility from these countries towards Europe. However, and this is something that we like as well to stress, there is the possibility to that for these entities participating in a staff exchange project to get funding in their sending countries. For instance, the European Union has just signed an agreement with India for the Research and Innovation Council in India in such a way that entities participating in a staff exchange project that they belong to this council in India, if the proposal where they are included is selected as a successful proposal and will be funded by us, they will get automatically funding from the Indian Council for Research and Innovation. Therefore, this is a possibility that is as well there, and you may consider at the moment of thinking on setting up a staff exchange project. That there are as well agreements with third countries around the world that makes possible for the entities of different countries to get automatically funding for their national governments in case they are successful and they are selected to be funded by us. This is a novelty that is, well, not really a novelty because it was already possible in previous calls, but it's being reinforced in the last years, and that's going to bring here because the most recent agreement that was signed was with India, because this happened in August this year. Then what we found as already anticipated 5,010 euros per person month. And here we like to highlight that there is a contribution that we call category A, that staff member unit cost, 2,710 euros, that has to be given fully to the secondee that is performing the secondment. This cannot divert to other purposes. And this covers the allocation, the allowance for mobility, for traveling, but as well for accommodation and subsistence of the fellow during the period of the secondment. For every single month that the fellow is going to perform a secondment, the fellow has to get 2,710 euros. Then we have another second category, that is the special needs allowance, that this is a requested unit that can be granted to fellows that they require special support because of the special needs, and this can be requested once the project is running, not before, and has to be proof that these additional needs are not covered by, I don't know, the social security insurance in Poland or Latvia or Lithuania or Czech Republic, and there is no other funding from another public institution in your national context that is covering these special needs. In this case, we are paying as well for these additional needs, this additional allowance, but this request has to happen once the project is already running, not at the submission, at the proposal stage. And then we have the other two categories. That is the 1,300 euros for research, training, and networking, and the 1,000 euros that we are giving for the management and indirect cost. These two categories can be used to complement the top, as in a way of top-up allowance to the mobility ones, to the 2,710 euros. It's not you can justify why you need to use for this additional 2,300 euros to complement the staff member unit cost. For instance, if you are sending a fellow from the University of Warsaw to the university located in New York. New York is a very expensive destination, and maybe the 2,700 euros is not enough to cover the expenses of the fellow there. Therefore, you can retrieve money from the 2,700 euros, 300 euros, sorry, to complement the 2,710 euros in a way that this secondment is possible. One that's going to mention that, as I have explained before, is possible when you have a low middle income country entity participating in your project, that you pay directly to the fellows hosted in your universities or your research centers, or you can as well but this is up to you. You can as well decide that this money is transferred directly to the third country entity participating in the project, and they manage directly these funds. This is something that is up to the beneficiary to decide, but we want as well to highlight and to stress that the responsibility still remains at the level of the beneficiary, because our interface, our counterpart, is not the third country entity, is still the Latvian, Lithuanian, Polish or Czech entity that is participating in our project. About the one-third mobility rule, here we want to say that we are once the project is defined as interdisciplinary by the evaluators that participate in the evaluation of the proposals, these remain along the life cycle of the project. Therefore, you don't have to prove every time that the project is interdisciplinary. But this requires as well to observe that every time there is a modification of the allocation of budget between the different entities participating in the project, you have to consider that still the one-third in total budget for the mobility within the same sector applies.
and the mobility of this 1/3 has to be still interdisciplinary. What means interdisciplinary? Means that the secondment is happening between entities that they are in principle defined from different scientific disciplines. For instance, you can have interdisciplinarity between one university that is working in mechanical engineering and another university or research centers located in another European country that is working in neuroscience. This is possible. There is no problem in that context. I will show you later another example that even within the same discipline, it's possible to have interdisciplinary secondments. And if you want to understand better how we define this interdisciplinary, we have a set of keywords, descriptors that define the different disciplines, and this is available on the RIA website. There you will find descriptors that define the different scientific disciplines and categorize according to the different scientific panels. And this is very useful at the time of defining to which discipline your project belongs in order to make the selection or add the option for the different panel, but as well to define how interdisciplinary is the project. And here you have the sample I was mentioning before. For instance, within the engineering panel, is possible within the engineering field, it's possible, for instance, to have an interdisciplinary project, because you may have an entity from located in Poland, the University of Warsaw, that is focused on the process engineering, and in particular in energy conversion. This is their scientific field, that in a particular staff exchange project is exchanging people with another university located, in this case, in Czech Republic, in Prague. And this one is dedicated for the computer science and informatics, because maybe the scientists in Warsaw, they have the need to make the study of the temperature in the windings of a transformer, and for that they have to make a simulation. They are not going to build up the demonstrator, the pilot demonstrator, and they are going to make a simulation with a numerical code that is provided by the computer science and informatics in the University of Prague. Therefore, they will go to the University of Prague to run there a numerical simulation of the temperature in the widening of the transformer, and they can save money because they don't have to actually build the physical transformer, but they can get the results about how this transformer is going to behave with biodegradable liquids. This is just to give you an example of a possibility of secondment exchanges between two entities that a priori belong to the same scientific field, in this case, engineering. How to find partners when you are thinking to set up a staff exchange project? Well, we think that it's very useful, for instance, these events organized by your NCPs, but we as well would like to encourage you to attend conferences, workshops, that you can meet different partners from different sectors that they could be interested for you to reach them for setting up a consortium. You have as well to look to current or former collaborations. I'm pretty sure that as well the NCPs, they may advise you about who could be interested to approach depending on your scientific field. We are looking always for joint projects. This is not a mono-beneficiary funding. This is a multi-beneficiary funding. You can find as well, when you are preparing your proposal, partners in the funding and tenders portal. There is a search engine that allows you to find potential partners, beneficiaries that they are as well producing or making research in your same field or in a complementary field that is interesting for your research activities. And there's as well available an MSCA matchmaking platform that we are going as well ourselves to use it the day of our info day, that we'll let you know afterwards. Due to the fact that it's very important, the engagement and the participation of the companies and the industry in our action, we will advise you as well to have a look to the European Enterprise Network, and here you can have as well the link, because there is a lot of startups and many other SMEs that they have an interest in research and innovation activities, and they may fit as well in the frame of your project. And of course, your national contact points, they play really a relevant role in advising you and providing you support at the time of thinking on a research and innovation project. Here, without entering into details, I want to show up just one project
that is now running. It's called Innovec. You can have more information on our website called Cordis. But this project is trying to establish a broad European network for developing innovative integrated mosquito vector control methods against emerging arboviruses. It's quite an interesting topic. Moreover, it's quite in line with the pandemic we suffered some years ago. Therefore, it's quite, let me say, important and relevant topic in terms of research and innovation. And as you can see here, and this is quite, let me say, the average number of participants in our project is a consortium composed of 23 partners. Out of the 23, 14, they are based in European Union or Pacific countries through the program. You have as well another 9 entities that they are based in third countries. And there are, out of the 23, 8 that they are define themselves as SMEs. Therefore, it's really a good example about the composition and how international and intersectorial is an MSCA Staff Exchange project. And the funding of this project is 1.4 million euros. That is as well quite in line with the average funding and size of the projects that we are funding. To illustrate a bit more how mobility is happening, for instance, you have here mobility from within Europe, between, as you can see on the screen, between entities located in Spain and Portugal, but you have as well entities participating in the project from Switzerland, France, Greece, and Germany. And I would say that there was as well another participant from Czech Republic in this project. And there you have a lot of participants around the world. You have entities located in Africa, but as well you have in South America, and one as well in the Pacific Ocean. Therefore, it's really a quite international project, and as well shows you a bit, or illustrates you a bit about the international dimension that is really touching all the continents, and as well all the sectors, because as you can see on the screen, there are research and centers. We have as well universities, but there is as well companies participating quite actively in the development of this project. Now I will move to the block of the proposal and submission that is more focused on the call 2024 that, as I already mentioned, was open on 19 September 2024, but the closure is by 5th February 2025. Therefore, there's still enough time to look for your partners in not only the academic sector, not only the academia, beyond academia, but as well even internationally. It's very important to take into account that if you think that an international dimension fits in your plan for a research and innovation project, this takes time unless you have already a pre-arranged network. Therefore, to contact your international partners takes time. Therefore, if you really want to prepare a staff exchange proposal, you should already start working on that, because the planning of the secondments, when the secondments are going to happen, and this is something you will have to explain in your proposal, takes time. You have to discuss and negotiate with all the partners participating in the project. Then, if you are considering us as an option, and we think that's a good option, please don't hesitate to start working on that. Moreover, we believe that 100 million euros is a good incentive to think on or participating in this call this year. We increased 20 million euros more compared to the previous call. It's really the biggest ever budget allotted for us. And then, if you would like to know more about the staff exchange action, we are going to have a dedicated info session on 15th of November. You have here the link. In that info session, we are going to showcase as well one project and the experience of one of the coordinators. And we are going as well to reply to all questions you may have about the preparation of the proposal, or you may have as well about implementation. This will be in the morning, and in the afternoon we have organized as well a brokerage event that will give you the opportunity to meet other participants that they are interested in our action, that they are coming as well with their own project, and to meet and to search for other partners in order to prepare a staff exchange proposal. It's really a very interesting. It's based indeed on the MSCA matchmaking tool that is run by the NCPs, and we have run already this event last year with a high participation, more than 250 entities. They were meeting in the afternoon in bilateral meetings to set up consortia and consortiums, and we can really see that it was very useful on the path to prepare a staff exchange project. Here, sorry, I was very fast. You have the indicative timeline. Okay, I don't know what this is happening, but okay, here, as you can see, you can, well, apparently it's moving all the time, but I will sum up very quickly. You can see, I wanted to show you that indeed, maybe put in here, but no, I cannot manage, sorry for that. But I wanted to say you that, yes, we launched the call for proposals in September. The deadline is on 5th of February, and we expect that we'll notify latest the results of the evaluation in July. But we expect that will be earlier, but we want to go with the conservative calendar to be sure that we deliver in time. But we expect, although you will see on the slides, because we'll share the slides with our colleagues, with the colleagues and CPs, the actual date on the slide is July, but we expect that this happen before. That means that you could start already your project by November 2025, because we can deliver already the pre-financing for those projects that can be financed under the Staff Exchange 2024 by November 2025. Maybe as well, I take the opportunity here to announce that there will be immediately after this one another call that is opening in March 2025. This will be the Staff Exchange 2025 that will be evaluated in autumn 2025 with the results to be delivered by early 2026. But we'll have as well a dedicated campaign for that call. The key changes compared to 2023 is that the increase of budget, I insist, 20 million euros more is really a great opportunity, but we have as well increased the unit cost. If you participated in the Staff Exchange 23, the unit cost was 4,600 euros, and now it's 5,010 euros. This is thanks to that we have increased the rate based on the inflation that we were all suffering the last years. This is an increase in particular and mostly focused, well, not only mostly focused on the staff allowance, because increase from 2,300 up to 2,710. That is that we can better cover the secondments and the fellows. UK is back as beneficiary. This is well very important. If you are considering UK to participate as a partner in your project, the UK entities can be funded by us. That's why we have as well, it's one of the reasons we have the increase of the budget. And there's no need for letter of commitments. If you are considering to engage in your project international participants, international organizations, you don't have to ask them to provide a letter of commitment. This is a novelty in order to simplify the submission of the projects. We recommend you to read carefully the MSCA work program and their annexes, to have a look to our templates and to check as well our frequently asked questions. All this information is available on the Funding and Tenders portal and as well on the dedicated REA website for staff exchanges. And it's very useful to read in particular the guide for applicants, because there you have step-by-step a description of the different phases that you have to undertake in order to prepare a proposal for staff exchanges and how you can submit your proposal in the system. And when you are going to prepare your proposal and you will access to the Funding Tenders portal, you have two parts to be prepared. The first one is the structured data. This you have to fill out all the forms with the administrative information of the participants in the project, including as well the budget, very important. And then you have the descriptive part, that is the part B, that where you will have to define in a PDF file of 30 pages maximum the content of your scientific research and innovation project and your proposal, and has to be structured following the structure of excellence, impact, and implementation that is duly described as well on the template. In the excellence, you will have to describe the methodology, the methods, how your research is relevant. In the impact, how you are addressing the policy impact goals of the action, for instance, collaboration, international collaboration, etc. And in the implementation part, you have to explain your implementation plan. That means how you are going to perform the secondments. And maybe this is we could say the most difficult part for a staff exchange proposal, because you will have to think in advance how the secondments are going to happen in the upcoming 4 years. Here you have the link to the Funding and Tenders portal that my colleague, as he said, has just published as well on the chat. Thank you for that, as he said. And this is how it looks like the funding and tenders portal. Well, the success to have a successful proposal for staff exchange is that you really provide a quite excellent proposal that has an impact according to the policy goals and is well implemented. That's why we call it that the staff exchange is the summary of an excellence, and implementation are closely interlinked, because if you have a very nice and very, let me say, relevant research and innovation proposal that is described under excellence, that is meeting out our policy goals, but the implementation is not well defined, then the evaluators will consider that will be very difficult to implement this project. Therefore, we want to stress that it's important that you pay attention to the planning of the secondments and you discuss beforehand with all the partners in your consortium how the secondments are going to happen, what is the availability of the different participants in terms of staffing, and when these secondments are relevant as well for the research and innovation activities. Tips and tricks. Yes, closely follow the call requirements. All the information is available. We have as well the research inquiry service available for you, that in case you want to ask questions. Highlight the EU dimension of the project. This is well very important. That you are leading to a sustainable collaboration. We are talking that Staff Exchange is promoting the setup of long-lasting collaboration and networks. Follow the available guidelines. In particular, I want to stress again, the guide for applicants is really relevant when you are preparing your proposal. Get a second opinion. Maybe you have another colleague in your university that was already successful in making a proposal for a staff exchange, and they can help you to save your proposal. And finally, reach your national contact points. Is very useful to have a second reading from them before you deliver your proposal. They are really excellent professionals. They are working with us very closely, and they can really help you in providing and reaching the quality level that is required to be successful in a staff exchange project. Here, I want to bring as well to share with you some statistics about the participation of Poland, Czech Republic, Lithuania, and Latvia in the last two calls of a staff exchange. As you can see, these are the funded. This is based on the information of the funded projects, those that they were selected. As you can see, the participation is quite important for the four projects. Unfortunately, there was a decrease, but I think this is going to be compensated. We cannot disclose yet the participation in the funded projects of 2023, because we will do it in the program committee in November, but we expect that this will increase in the next in the results of the call 2023. And as well, here you have some figures about the coordinators. Here, maybe to highlight the increase of coordinators for Latvia, and as well for Lithuania in comparison between the two calls. And here, yes, we have the good news, because this we can already show, is that in between the 2022 and the 2023, the participation of the four countries grew substantially. For instance, for Poland, we are above 100 participants if we put together coordinators and beneficiaries. We are very happy that this is happening, because as well, one of the goals as well of the action is to support and to support in excellence and in excellent science the widening countries. And we were very pleased that the performance is getting better and better in terms of participation, and we are pretty sure that this will be translated as well in terms of successful participants and funded projects. Finally, for any questions you may have about Horizon Europe, you can always reach the Research and Inquiry Service. But moreover, for any questions you may have as well about the call that we just opened, you can as well forward this request, your request. You can as well reach us through the Research and Inquiry Service. Research and Inquiry Service is very important, because there you can fill this dedicated form where you can write your questions, and we will provide you
a reply. And moreover, it's mandatory for us to provide this reply, if I'm not mistaken, in 50 days maximum. And we want to be very agile on providing you feedback because we are very keen and we consider very important that you have all the latest information available for you to prepare your proposal. Finally, I'm almost reaching the final of my proposal. Staff exchange is not so difficult that you could think at first glance. Nothing is in life is to be fair. It is only to be understood, as Marie Curie, Curie said, and she was a Polish scientist. Therefore, there is nothing really to be fair in staff exchange. You just have to go through all the guidelines available. You can reach us. You can reach as well your NCPs, and you will know how to prepare a very successful staff exchange project. I want to finalize as well with another 2 slides to emphasize the fact that you can combine staff exchange for mobility with another existing funding. This is very important for us. We are now working closely with other funding schemes, and we reach out already some conclusions. The fact is that if you have already a funding from national funds in Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, or Czech Republic, and you want to have a staff exchange project, this is possible. And indeed, this is possible because staff exchange will bring you the mobility that maybe your initial project is not covering. The same applies for if you have already an existing EU funding. You can combine, for instance, we have seen this quite often with other projects funded under the Pathfinder scheme at the EIC. We have seen as well that some other coordinators, they combine funding from, for instance, joint takings with the staff exchange. The point here is that we should not cover the same let me say, activities in the project. How? Because we are covering short-term, intersectoral, interdisciplinary, and international secondments. Maybe in the initial project, you will not consider this mobility. Or maybe, for instance, you will not consider another discipline that now is relevant for your project. Then you could complement your existing project with a staff exchange project. Because staff exchange will help you as well to bring fresh perspective and knowledge into the organization, and will allow you as well to acquire new skills that can be used afterwards. Important maybe to highlight is that this is what you have on the left column is what we are covering, and therefore the existing project that or the existing funding you may have for your research and innovation activities, or you may consider to apply for research and innovation activities, should not cover the traveling, should not cover the mobility in terms of accommodation and subsistence, and maybe the management of the activities related to mobility should not be covered in the other funding, because in that way, if there is such an overlap, we are incurring in double funding, and we think that we should avoid, we have to avoid this double funding. That's why what the message I want to transmit with this 2 slides is that staff exchange can be used standalone, but can be used as well in combination with other funding. And we are now working more and more to identify if there is any kind of overlap. And we realize that in terms of having maybe core funding for your research and innovation activities, you may go for other schemes. But when you want to go for mobility, you can use the staff exchange, and both can be combined in order to support your research and innovation activities. And that's all from my side. Thank you very much, Alexandra and colleagues. I will be pleased now to take your questions. Together with my colleague, as he said, that she can.
Thank you very much, Rodrigo, for your very detailed presentation. It was great to hear again and again. You know, it's always good to know the overview of the project. And I think we have a lot of questions. So, Ludmila, could you please proceed with the questions?
Indeed. So welcome from me as well. I'm trying to share Slido with you.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
See it. So we have 22 questions overall.
Okay.
Let's go, and we will see if we manage to answer all of them. If you have, Rodrigo, time for that as well.
Yes, I will try. I think it's important.
Okay.
We can take some of me with me, some as well with Asise, and then we can be more dynamic, I guess.
I believe some of them have been already answered, but maybe a clarification is needed to ensure our participants. So does the organization hosting the fellow receive any money for administration? If yes, what is the amount?
Well, the money is given to the beneficiaries that they are sending secondees. This is the general rule, let's say, for all the mobility that is happening in Europe. Then, in your consortium agreement, we are giving the 5,000 euros to the sending institution. But in the consortium agreement, if you have just a mobility that is happening in Europe, you can decide as well to provide some funding to the hosting institution. But this is not because we decide. This is a decision of the consortium and has to be recorded in the consortium agreement. That is a private agreement between all the participants. This is possible. It's not we should not be a problem, but it's not a direct funding that we are giving to the host institution. This is for the mobility only in Europe. However, if you have mobility from third countries, and this mobility involves the so-called low middle income countries, such as, for instance, Argentina, or for instance, Morocco, that we have seen as well quite often in our projects. In this case, you can transfer the money that we are giving you to host these secondees coming from these third countries directly to the sending institutions. But this is as well a decision of the beneficiary, because our counterpart, the one that keeps the responsibility, is still the EU beneficiary who is hosting these secondees.
Thank you. I believe it has been very clear. So there is a question about interdisciplinarity. Do I need to do anything more about interdisciplinarity than having first level MSCA keywords? I have a proposal on climate change economics, which is by its nature very interdisciplinary.
Well, this is indeed when you are going to prepare your proposal, you have first to define which panel you want to propose, and then you have the first level one keywords to define the discipline of your project. You have to add as well up to 5, if I'm not mistaken, the other keywords that will define the interdisciplinarity of your project. It's possible to add in the system up to 5 keywords that will define the interdisciplinarity of your project. Of course, in this case, looks like already a very interdisciplinary project, but has to be as well recorded in the system. This does not prevent that at the end are the evaluators, because who decide if the project is interdisciplinary or not, because these keywords is a reference that we took to define or to provide a definition for interdisciplinary. But at the end, the developments in science are going so fast that there was something that maybe was not interdisciplinary some years ago now is becoming more interdisciplinary, because development in the different disciplines is going very fast. That's why we rely at the end always on the judgment and opinion of the evaluators to define to assess what is interdisciplinary and what is not. And the evaluators, they are scientists as well.
Thank you. The next question I think we can keep for later. It is for us NCPs, and it disappeared now. They changed the order. So there is a question about double funding during a secondment. Can a researcher's expenses being reimbursed by the MSCA project and her salary covered by another European Union project? So it is about synergies.
Yes, this is what maybe Asisa, you want to take this one with you?
Yes, I think it is possible. But in that case, it's also the participants needs to be careful about it, about the double funding, because let's say the 1 person months, the project, the researcher is going to be seconded. So in that case, just the travel cost and accommodation cost is covered by the MSCA Staff Exchanges, and the beneficiary needs to be sure about that doesn't covered by another project. It is funded by the European Union.
All right, thank you. There is the question about an example of successful interdisciplinary project, but I think it has been already provided in Rodrigo's presentation. Yes. So let's consider this as answered. And then we have some questions which are related to the template of proposal. So part B2, table 6, should I have special half a page for each associated partner linked to beneficiary organization? Do these associated partner linked to beneficiary organizations show anywhere in Part A?
Yes, I mean, when you have associated partner linked to beneficiary organization, you will have the associated partner linked to beneficiary organization, to start from definition, is an entity that has already a long-lasting collaboration with the beneficiary. Now, for instance, it's very famous the case in France, the so-called joint research units, that they are set up between the CNRS, that is the Council of Research in France, and one university in a particular location. Then this entity can participate and do some of the activities on behalf of one of the beneficiaries. That's why it's called linked to a beneficiary organization. The one who gets the money directly from us is the beneficiary, but this entity can do up to around 1/3 of the activities in terms of person months of the beneficiary to which is linked. Then you will have to describe the activities of this associated partner linked to beneficiary in the scientific part, in the part B1, where you will describe there all the scientific activities, and you have to list as well this entity in the part B2, explaining as well their capabilities, well, following the different sections of the template. This is important because you have to know as well which are the scientific capabilities of this entity, and this has to be described in the part B2.
Thank you. Another question about Part A, specifically about evaluators. Do they see it? Do they evaluate it, or only Part B?
They have available all
Yes.
the parts in the system, in the Part A, Part B1, and Part B2. All the 3 documents are available in PDF for the evaluators.
Thank you. For mobilities planned from South Africa to Europe, there is no indication to which European beneficiaries South Africans will go. The budget for South African is no way connected to beneficiaries' budget. Is it going to change somehow at the grant agreement stage?
For South Africa, if I'm not mistaken, is eligible for funding because it's considered low middle income country. Then what they can do at the proposal level is to define how many people, how many secondaries and person months are going to happen between South Africa and Europe. And in the proposal, they will be able to encode the number of PMs and the budget allocated to them, because for the low middle income countries it's possible. Why? Because we want to keep this budget. This budget will be funded by us. We will not fund it directly to the South African entity, but we'll fund to the entities that they are hosting the South African fellows. Therefore, it's important that the amount corresponding to this entity is defined and included in the budget in the proposal Part A.
Thank you.
Maybe adding one more thing, the budget is allocated to the South Africa, but as my colleague mentioned, the budget is going to be allocated to the budget of the one beneficiary, which is going to host. So that is the link of the budget. But
Yes.
in the table, it needs to be stated separately for the South Africa in the budget table.
Thank you. Since there is no table Gantt chart with distribution of mobilities, only summary budget table A3, is there any indication how many mobilities we plan to have inside Europe, which should be interdisciplinary?
Yes, I mean, there was in the past, in the 21-22 calls, there was a dedicated table for the interdisciplinary mobility. We thought that at the end, I don't know, we don't know really why, but the applicants didn't understand. The evaluators was very complex to evaluate it. We removed that table. Then the Karel is right. We don't have anymore this summary table. And then the information has to be in terms of budget provided in the aggregated budget table. However, in the description of the work packages, they can describe the mobility independently of if it's between 2 entities in the same sector or between different sectors or interdisciplinary or not. I will suggest to Karel, who is going to describe this mobility, that they provide these details there, because the evaluators will check there if this interdisciplinary mobility is actually happening, and they will describe there as well. Well, moreover, the evaluators will evaluate as well there if this mobility is feasible. Therefore, although we don't have a proper Gantt chart in the proposal template, they can still describe how this mobility happens under the work packages description.
Thank you. And then a question about the US universities and whether they should be included in the work package description in part B1.
Well, for the United States universities, indeed, the activities and the secondments can be described as well in part B1 because it's part of the scientific activities of the project. Then it's true that unless you have a clear request for sessional funding, in the part A, that is the part where the budget is, you should not include a budget unless there is a sessional funding request. Sessional funding request is normally when there is some research activities because of the capabilities or because of the facilities or the premises cannot be performed in Europe and is essential for the research activities to have a third country participant from high-income country. In that case, you may include as well the budget. But if it's not the case, the budget should be zero in the budget table of the part A. And still the activities and secondments should be described in the part B1, because although we are not paying for that, these activities are relevant for the project.
Thank you. Can the minimum 1 month secondment to the same institution be divided into several stays?
Maybe SE, this is
Yes.
you.
Yeah, thank you, Rodrigo. Yes, it can be divided in the several stays, but to be eligible for the financial side, it needs to be completed to the 1 month. So yes, it is possible, and also it is possible, for example, one researcher do the 2 weeks of secondments, let's say in the University of Warsaw, and then did it in the 2 weeks more in the another university. It is possible, or the vice versa.
Thank you. And then another question about interdisciplinarity for a particular secondment. So is it enough that a project proposal is interdisciplinary, or should a concrete secondment be justified as interdisciplinary? If you want, once again, summarize.
Yes. We want to highlight the fact that we try to simplify, therefore there is not a need to have a complete list of interdisciplinary secondments in the proposal. What you have to prove is that the proposal is interdisciplinary in terms of the disciplines involved in the research. But of course, when the evaluators will have to check as well the feasibility of the implementation, it's good as well that you describe, but as for any other mobility, the interdisciplinary secondments, because this is part of the evaluation of the implementation. The evaluators, they want to see that the project is realistic in terms of the changes, and this is not only for the interdisciplinary secondment, but for all the secondments. Therefore, you will have as well to describe somehow that the mobility is happening between 2 universities, that they have different disciplines in the context of your project.
Thank you. Then we have a question about deliverables. The question is there a compulsory report every year?
You
Like
maybe, as you said,
progress reports, there is periodic report, again, progress reports.
Okay, maybe let's start from the clarification. There are in the 2 we have the 2 reports. They have the contractual obligation. So it is the first periodic report at the end of the 2nd year, and the second periodic report, it is at the end of the 4th year. So, but on top of that, as a deliverable, we have the first year, at the end of the 1st year, first progress report. So we also ask for that as well. It is possible to have these 4 different management training and dissemination deliverables. They are also the, let's say, the obligatory ones. Dissemination exploitation plan, it is obligatory. For the management one, you decide as well. I don't know if it is the correct answer, but I mean, if I answer covering the whole question. I don't know, Rodrigo, do you want to add something more?
Just to ask that don't forget the data management plan that is now as well is mandatory in the project, and yes, my colleague has as well summarized the other mandatory ones, and for the midterm meeting as well, we require another report. Well, if you miss some of them, that we will take care of that at the grant agreement preparation. Nevertheless, then don't worry. But it will be good that you have all of them considered, because the evaluators will consider a complete proposal indeed. Thank you, Sisa.
Thank you. Because the time is pressing us, we are proposing that we will answer the rest of the questions in writing together with Rodrigo and Aziza, if you agree, so that we can proceed further. Thank you very much.
Yes, for us is fine.
For comprehensive answers. It has been very helpful, and we will keep the rest of the answers here in Slido. You can still add new questions for...
Maybe I can take one very quickly, the one of the least low medium income, high income countries.
Sure.
Yes, this one, there's a dedicated guide for the Horizon Europe program, because it's not only for us. There you have as well a link, and in that link you will find the list of all the high and low middle income countries. And you have the complete list, and those that are not listed as low middle income countries are considered as high income. And you will have as well a list of the associated countries. This is all available, I repeat, in the Horizon Europe funding guide.
Indeed.
It's the general guide for the program.
We can share it even right now. I think I have it here, so
The program guide.
We'll share it with in the chat, so that it's available to everybody. All right.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for being with us. And Ola.
Yes, thank you very much, Rodrigo. Thank you very much, Aziz. It was, it is always a pleasure to have you during our meeting.